and welcome to another edition of the Commissioner's Report. Today we're coming to you from northeast Polk County, specifically the new fire station at Lake Marion Creek. Joining us today are Commissioner John Hall.
Good to be here.
And Fire Chief Robert Weech.
Yes, ma'am. Good to be here, Tricia. Thank you for having me.
Well, since we're in northeast Polk County, we can talk about the population explosion in this part of the county.
Yeah, unless you have been through here, you just really cannot imagine what's happened in the northeast section of Polk County. Years ago, it was really rural. Now it has reached the point to it's almost as urbanized as the city of Lakeland, and there's more subdivisions coming in every day. We have more plans in-house. We have more people moving in to Polk County, and the population explosion up here is just phenomenal.
And with people comes the need for services.
Comes a need for all services, yes, roads, roadway, water and sewer, and specifically, and since we're here today to talk about fire services and our EMS and ambulance services, yes, the more people we have, the more of those that we need.
So Chief Weech, how old is this fire station?
This is about 2 years old. It's close to our prototype, our state-of-the-art station, but has most of the design features in it that we will have going forward. So it's about 2 years old.
What makes this station different? You said prototype, so what?
Right, it has all the current functionalities inside of it that make it a modern fire station. I think from a construction standpoint, it's built to withstand more than we have done in the past. So it's more resilient in the times of a storm or actual hurricane. So it's from the building standard point of view, it's a stronger, more sturdier station, and that certainly becomes important in times of storm and when the surrounding area may need coverage from us.
And a couple of years ago, we actually had, Fire Services had a study done, the Fitch Study, if you ever hear anyone refer to that, and it was, where is our population? Where should our stations be? Are the number of stations that we have right now, are they the correct number of stations? Or should we have less stations, more strategically located, or more stations spread out? And it's all in that report, and I think that we have kind of landed after some study on a prototype building, and we will have less stations more strategically located in the population centers as Polk County starts to grow or continues to grow.
Okay. So by combining, I think what you're saying is we need them in Northeast Polk, so we're going to build there and sort of consolidate so that the crews and the trucks are where they need to be?
That is correct. And it's not only in Northeast Polk. Polk County is growing pretty much all over. There's areas that are growing slower than the Northeast, but we're growing in those areas also. The big thing about the Northeast is within the next 20 years, we're going to have another 145,000 people up here in this area. So if you can imagine a municipality the size of Lakeland being put up here in the Northeast within the next 20 years, that's why we have to start thinking strategically about where these stations are located, how do we consolidate, what services, how big of bays do we need for the number of apparatus that we're going to have, the number of trucks, both fire and EMS, because we're co-located at this point.
Now, talking about thinking strategically, I read in the newspaper a couple of weeks ago about a new tracking system for the supplies that were used in ambulances. What's that?
Yeah, we're excited about that. In the past, what we had to do to keep track of our equipment and our supplies and the dollars we have to spend is manual counts. Manual counts, where we actually had a piece of paper, how many items we should have, and actually we would record how many items we have, and then we would go through the ordering process. The newest technology out there is radio frequency ID, RFID processes. And it's used out in business now today, where they have these high dollar items, things they have to keep track of and re-inventory and count on an everyday basis. And actually that technology, that equipment's coming to the world of fire service as well. So what we do is we've got what we call a PAR system inside of our trucks, how many pieces of each equipment we need to have in order to go out and serve the community on a daily basis. And the technology and the readers count it for us. We attach a reader to each one of the items. We have a scanner, and pretty much similar to what you'll see in Publix or any other retail shop. And the scanner will count for us what we have, compare that to the PAR system that we should have, and the order goes in for us automatically. And so from our standpoint, not only is it more operationally sound, we'll know faster, quicker what we need, what we've used, so we can track that. And then it also has the potential to save us money, because this is what the commercial world found. A tighter control on what they're using means they have the potential to save dollars. And so for us, it's twofold. The first is we're more efficient in what we do. We're more sure what's on those trucks, so when we go out there and we have to save lives, we're going to have that stuff. And then it's a better, tighter control on what we use, saving the citizens and saving the tax dollars that we're entrusted to use appropriately. So we're excited about the technology.
That's excellent. But searching for a solution to save time and money, we also did some creative things of trying to fund this project. What happened there?
Yes, we have done some creative things as far as funding this, and one of those things is actually we work with the federal government. We put in grants. We have some grants that are going in, or grant requests that are going in for this year, and hopefully we'll get those. It's new equipment. We have been successful in years past. We got $2 million worth of equipment. That is the breathing apparatus that our firefighters have to use if they're going into a house or structure that's on fire or filled with smoke. So there's things that we do at the state level and at the federal level. We did have to increase the fire service fee. But anytime that you are going to be increasing services, and here's a misconception. I think that our citizens on some instances think that we should be able to do this cheaper, but when you are serving more people, there's no way to do it with a reduction in service. You got to have an increase in service, and that increase in service is going to cost. So I think as we grow, we'll be having to put more into our public safety services, and that includes the sheriff's office and fire services and EMS. And fortunately for us, it's our general public's number one, issue when they have a survey. It always comes back number one if we want to take care of public safety.
Chief, Commissioner Hall and I were talking before we started, and as a commissioner, he talks to people all the time, and one of the questions that you get quite frequently is, why is it when there's an ambulance call, an ambulance and a fire truck show up?
Well, I answer that question all the time, and since we have the chief with us today, why don't you answer that for us, Chief?
Thanks, Commissioner. I'll be happy to. Really, when it may seem to be overkill, where we have what we call a medical emergency, and we see the two big trucks. So I can understand to where the layperson may look like, is that overkill, and can we eliminate that? But really, the perspective we're taking, and it happens about 65% of the calls that come into the dispatch center, we view as critical enough to where the needs on that scene outweigh what two people can accomplish during that critical time to where somebody needs medical care. So, and I kind of compare it to, at least I try to explain it in this context. It's more of an emergency room approach to things. When you're in an emergency room and you're dealing with your medical emergency, everybody's assigned to a task. An IV, administration of medications, EKG reading, x-rays. Everybody has a task and everybody works together. It looks kind of like a symphony or an orchestra. Mm-hmm. We're trying to trying to achieve the same thing when we show up at your house or your residence or business and you're having a medical emergency in the field. We try to approach it the same way. So really what you're seeing on these scenes where you have more than one vehicle is we've decided from a dispatch standpoint, based on what we hear, is we may need more than 2 people. So what we do is we send the engine, the transport capability truck, which is the ambulance, and the engine, and we go to work on it from a 5-person perspective as opposed to a 2. Now if we get there and 2 can handle it, which happens a great deal of the time, they'll help out preliminarily, and then they'll head back to the station, going back in service ready for the next call. But from a conservative nature, history tells us certainly 5 people can do more than 2. Sure. And if it's your life or your loved one is going through that crisis and needs that help, we want to be there to deliver the help rather than say, well, we wish we had more on scene here today.
Now, are you saying that some of the crew members who are technically fire are cross-trained?
Oh, absolutely. We've made a big push within Polk County to cross-train all of our employees so they can do both. They can effectively fight fire from a safety and operational standpoint, and they can also provide the emergency medical care, both from an EMT and a paramedic standpoint. It's been one of our things we've been focused on and concentrating on and moving towards during the short term. We've come a long way, and I'm happy where we're at.
And let me tag on to a little bit of what the chief was saying. There's been some discussion because of what you said. We have some of our citizens saying, well, why do we have this great big piece of equipment, this fire truck on scene? And we're actually discussing right now going to a smaller piece of equipment that would carry 2 people and let 1 person stay back at the fire station to drive the fire truck in case there's a fire in a different direction. So we have that right now in a stage where we're exploring it. So instead of all 5 people, we would quite possibly just roll out 4 people. But it would be in one of our ambulances and a smaller vehicle instead of the fire truck. So hopefully that would stop some of the questions that we're getting about why do you roll out this huge piece of equipment to go to a medical emergency.
So it sounds like you guys are being very mindful of tax dollars while you're doing what you're doing and just paying attention and tweaking things as you go.
My marching order is be efficient with the resources that you have, knowing that they're scarce and there are many, many needs that we have out there. The citizens expect clean water, they expect roads to drive on, and they expect public safety when they need it. But that doesn't mean we have an open checkbook. And so what my marching orders are, something I take very seriously, is if there are take advantage of the resources we have. And if that means being creative and doing some things a little bit differently than we do them today, if there's potential there for savings and doing it better, we're all for it. We're ready to get involved in those things and we're ready to try what the commissioner described of leaving the big truck behind, rolling out with 4 instead of 5. And that way we're dual capable, we're ready to take on more than 1 emergency at a time. So we're excited about the program. I'm confident that'll work, and I'm confident we'll see the results we're looking for. Fully prepared on scene. We're there ready to take care of whatever emergencies our citizens have, potentially do it for less. And those are my marching orders. Those are the things I'm trying to get accomplished. And I've got people like the commissioner here keep me accountable for it.
Well, and Chief Weech is correct, and we appreciate him bringing stuff to us where we can potentially save money. One of the things that I'd mentioned earlier in the show was that we actually make application to the federal government. And a few years ago, we had requested a SAFER grant, and we got 30 firefighters through the SAFER grant. So the federal government pays 100% for the first year, and then they step down in year 2, and in year 3, and in year 4, then the county, whichever county it is, has to be prepared to take on that cost 100%. And we were, because it enhanced our service. And Chief, are we all at 3?
We're not quite done with the grant period yet, but we're coming close. It's within 5 or 6 months. And so,
do we have 3 firefighters on every engine now?
We sure do.
Okay.
And that was one of our main goals, is be prepared, and we've accomplished that.
Because when you get to a fire, everybody doesn't go in a structure that is smoke filled or burning. So you have to have someone outside also. So we have endeavored to put enough people on our fire services payroll to have at least 3 people on every engine when it rolls out.
Okay. Oh, wait a minute. When you say manual, you're not talking about manual. This thing is doing it by itself?
It is a machine wrapped around somebody's torso. It actually looks and feels like a piston to where, and not only is it more efficient because we don't have to have as many people on scene, but it's better CPRs.
The skills you can develop in the Army National Guard can give you an edge in the high-tech job market of tomorrow. The Guard offers career training to take advantage of your interests in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Gain practical experience with emerging technology and equipment that you can transfer to an exciting new field. Get a head start on your career while serving part-time and earning money to pay for college. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn about all of the STEM career opportunities available to you in the Army National Guard.
Each year, hurricanes and major flooding threaten cities, towns, and rural homes across the Gulf states. So chances are there will be more storms and floods near here again. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has all the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Selfless service is the principle that guides Army National Guard soldiers to be ready whenever disaster strikes. They have a stake in the well-being of the neighborhoods where they live and work. They train part-time to be ready to serve at all times. Selfless service. It's what inspires the men and women of the Army National Guard to be part of something greater than themselves. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more.
150 over 90.
180 over 111.
160 over 110. I had a stroke.
Your blood pressure numbers could change your life. Lowering them could save you from having a stroke. If you've stopped your treatment plan, restart it or talk to your doctor about creating one that works better for you. Start taking the right steps at manageyourbp.org.
Now I'm, trying to get better, stronger than ever.
So are there other federal grants that we're applying for?
Oh, absolutely. We have a couple of grants, and I'll let the chief go into a little more detail on those.
Absolutely, would love to. Efficient use of resources is a theme we see a lot in Polk County, especially with fire rescue. And so when we're trying to make the most of our tax dollars and we have these federal dollars available, we take advantage of everyone we can. And the commissioner brought up a great example was personnel, satisfying our personnel. Over the last 5 years, we're successful in getting not only 30 to fill all the fire stations, but this fire station here was originally staffed with 9 people, specifically written through with federal funds, and we're excited about that. So there's a couple things that we were successful in getting a couple of years with what we call CPR devices. So it enhances care, it gives our patients higher levels of survivability. That's us provide care at a higher level. What it does is eliminates the need potentially to have one of our fire rescue providers put him to work in a different area, so we're not actually doing CPR. So it's a manual CPR device. We've written that grant, we've received them, they're in service today. It's a big win, very, very successful.
Okay, so wait a minute. When you say manual, you're not talking about manual. This thing is doing it by itself?
It is a machine wrapped around somebody's torso. It actually looks and feels like a piston, to where, and not only is it more efficient because we don't have to have as many people on scene, but it's better CPRs. Studies tell us. It eliminates the fatigue factor, the human error with CPR, and so it actually compresses the whole chest rather than one over it. A machine CPR machine can do better CPR than a human for a lot of different reasons. Okay. So we're happy and thrilled to have it, and we've seen better patient outcomes because we've made efficient use of those federal dollars. And so that's a win for us. Not only getting additional personnel is a win, but the equipment that enables us to have better impacts and survivability for our patients is something we've already enacted, and we have it on the truck today. We actually have we're writing 2 grants for the safer process here currently today. One is for water tenders that are more state-of-the-art, safer, and have operational capabilities that exceed what we have now. And our trucks are 35 years old, so it's time to replace those, and we're going through the budgetary process of trying to find that money. So
okay, before you go, what is a water tender? What is that? What does it do?
Approximately 16% of the county has water hydrant capabilities. And where in those areas that we don't have those capabilities, we have to bring our water with us to the firefight. So we got to get a little bit creative. So the firefighting capabilities within the county is heavily reliant upon us bringing that water. So what a water tender is, it's a big water truck that we bring to the scene, and it gives us water capabilities to fight the fire on the scene. So we're challenged with replacing all the equipment that we have. And so we have an opportunity to use federal dollars instead of the county dollars. And so we're writing applications and grants to do just that. And we're looking forward to, the application period closes March 13th. We're looking forward to having that complete, and we're looking forward to a successful process to that.
Great. Now, I interrupted you. Is there one more?
There sure is.
Okay.
And you know, the federal government has a $3 million ceiling on us, is based on the size of our community. We're asking for $2 million in water tender help, but we're also asking for the ability to wash gear. One of the priorities for us, as we're finding out that firefighters are more susceptible to cancer than the normal person because of some of the stuff we're exposed to, which is the serial exposure to carcinogens, most like what we'll run into when we run into house fires and burning fires and stuff like that. So we're finding out through the best practices is it's best to wash that gear every time you go into those environments. And so as we're finding these things out from a best practice model, the county is actively trying to find ways to protect its firefighters. And one of these is have these commercial type washers so that every time they go into the fire, we have those washers on scene in the station to put that gear process through a complete cleaning process. And so that's about an $800,000 project countywide that we're also getting involved in, trying to get those federal funds to accomplish this county mission.
And back to the water tenders, just a few years ago, we had some very large fires in a very remote part of Polk County, River Ranch and Indian Lake Estates area. Really, how do you get that water down there? And the best way that we can do that is the water tender. So you're going to have to take large sums of water in a truck to be able to fight some of these things. Right now, we do not have that capability because of the number and the age of those that we do have. But hopefully if we get these, then we'll be able to stop or at least slow down some of those brush fires before they get into a very large forest fire. And that one, how many agencies did we have?
We had
forestry.
We had forestry. Several of our mutual aid partners, our automatic aid partners. We probably had 8 or 9 agencies on scene that day trying to help us fight one of the biggest fires, because there was not only that were trees burning and scrub, but there was also potential to have people's property in the line of the fire. So we take that very seriously, and so we're available to help other communities, and other communities pitch in to help us in that time of crisis. So it's a good example of how we come together and we partner, and each community is what's important.
Hopefully we get some of the grants that we've been talking about from the federal government. It will enhance the way we provide our fire services and our EMS services. And I think that it will be a real big boost for our citizens in Polk County, and hopefully we'll get rid of the large trucks on site when it's nothing but medical. But yeah, we under Chief Weech's leadership, I think that we'll be moving forward, and we'll be doing it in a very methodical and well thought out strategic way.
Commissioner Hall brings up a great point about being more effective with forming these partnerships we have with our surrounding agencies. And we do a great job forming partnerships and relationships with our outside counties and also the cities. But one of the relationships and partnerships that I especially enjoy working here in Polk County is the partnership and the guidance I get from my Board of County Commissioners and commissioners like Commissioner Hall. You know, one of the things that we see important here in Polk County is taking care of the people and the citizens we serve, and that's from a safety standpoint. So he has a lot of things on his agenda he's trying to accomplish. The same with the rest of the board: clean water, roads to drive on, but also to making sure they're safe. And so part of that taxing process is that we're going to provide the services that we need currently and in times of growth to make sure we're taking care of the folks. Now the challenge that he's presented for me is tell me what the needs are, but also use the funds from a responsible standpoint. Use what you need, but don't overuse it and be responsible. Provide the service, but do it responsibly. And that's something a partnership that I enjoy. I very much like the fire service. I'm dedicated my life to it. I like helping folks, but I can't do it alone. I can't do it with just my vision and my energy. I have to have folks like my commissioners, like Commissioner Hall here, that sees the value in it and puts the focus on it. So I enjoy that.
That's an excellent point. And then occasionally, the commissioners, myself and the other board members, we see something that needs to be done, and we bring it forward. And there's a new thing that will be brought forward very soon. I brought it to the chief's attention through the county manager, and he and his staff have worked on it. A new program, and I think that it's going to enhance our fire services and our firefighters and our EMS personnel. So it's new. I've seen a draft of the PowerPoint, and I think it's going to be an excellent program.
So we got something to look forward to, huh?
Oh, you got something to look forward to.
Okay. Well, this is fascinating and a really nice place. Thank you for inviting us here.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate the presence. I definitely like talking about fire rescue and what the county's providing to the citizens. So anytime you want me to come and talk about the service we provide, I'm available.
Well, we're here because public safety is
number one.
Very important to Commissioner Hall. So thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for joining us for another edition of the Commissioner's Report.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would. But I can't.